everyone, I'm Spider-Man 1991. Here's my comic book review for the comic books I read that came out February 26th, 2014. Let's get into some comics. First off, what I read this week came from Dark Horse. Serenity, Leaves on the Wind, number 2. Pretty much taking place right after the last issue. Zoe just gave birth to her and Walsh's daughter Emma, and she needs. But after Simon did the delivery, he knows she needed medical attention. They were able to get her to a medical station, but unfortunately, the Alliance is immediately notified of the crew's location, and Zoe's operation is going to take a few days until she's ready to travel. So Zoe encourages them to leave and take her daughter with them, which they agree to do, even though Mal isn't too happy about it. And of course, right after they leave, the Alliance shows up and arrests Zoe. Meanwhile, back in space, they're trying to think of ways how they could probably save Zoe from the Alliance, and River volunteers that since she knew about Miranda from all the stuff that the Alliance did to her brain, she thinks she can uncover more if she went to some sort of coma, which they all agree is probably the best option, even though Simon uneasy. And so they put River into a coma and strap her down in the medical bay. And right after she goes under, Jane and B, the leader, B is the girl we saw last issue who's apparently starting the new Browncoats, have located Serenity, and they board the vessel, and B asks Malcolm to help join and lead their new resistance, and Mal says no. And after he says no, he immediately orders B and Jane off the ship. And unfortunately, though, right when they're about to leave, suddenly B's ship with all of her other new Browncoats is immediately destroyed, and so pretty much B and Jane are left on Serenity. And later we find out that apparently Jane didn't leave Serenity by choice, but he was actually forced off from Mal because Mal says to Jane that basically they're going to find somewhere they can dump him off, and that Mal thought he could trust Jane, but apparently someone gave Jane enough. Apparently Mal finally found out how much money it would take Jane to actually betray him. So there's a story there. And then apparently later that night when everyone's asleep, bounty hunter Jubal Early sneaks onto the ship and goes right to where River's located. Jubal Early is the bounty hunter who reappeared at the end of last issue, and he was also the bounty hunter on the last episode of Firefly, the TV series. Okay, this series is pretty great. It is pretty great. We have the crew still on the run from the Alliance. Now they're kind of hoping to make a deal with. Now, unfortunately, Zoe got captured, but they were able to save the baby. And also, we learned that, there was some development here with what happened in between. Where this story is now and what happened with the last 9 months since Serenity the movie. And apparently Jane didn't leave the ship that we thought last issue. He apparently was kicked off. Because I remember that in the TV series was Jane, he seemed mostly loyal to Mal, but that was only because Mal was paying him. And eventually though, there were times where Jane was tempted to betray the crew for the sake of money, because Jane obviously values money more than loyalty. Well, I wouldn't say he values it, but values it more because because in the issue he is kind of trying to act casual and friendly with Mal, but Mal's not buying it. So there's that. Also, apparently River, she has been acting relatively normal, and that's something Simon comments on. He says that she's been acting normal, but now he's worried that if she goes back, tries to access the things that the Alliance probably put in her head, she might freak out again and be all crazy again. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see. And also again, the bounty hunter Jubal Early's back, so who knows what that's going to work. So who knows what's going to go there. So overall, Serenity on the Leaves of the Wind, really great series. The dialogue in this is pretty nice. It does feel like you are still watching the TV series, even though technically it's comic book. But overall, very great. Also, art-wise, very nice. They are able to capture most of the likeness of the actors who play the characters on the TV series into the book. I think that's also positive if you're going to do a comic book based off of a TV series. Serenity, Leaves on the Wind, definitely buy. Okay, now it's time for DC Comics with Aquaman, number 28. After Aquaman manages to track down the diver who stole the sea monster's brain from last issue, Aquaman tracks down the diver and he discovers the Triton base and that Dr. Shin is working there, but immediately when Aquaman gets there, he's sort of kicked off by the head of the Triton base, and so Aquaman tells his Atlantean soldiers to be on alert while he and Mera return to Amnesty Bay, and they decide, and Mera kind of pressures Arthur to go to his high school reunion, and that's pretty much what the majority of the issue is just Arthur with Mera back at his high school reunion, which is actually which sounds kind of cheesy, but it's actually very hilarious and a fun, amusing story where you don't really get to see this side of Aquaman much. You do see him as Aquaman the superhero and Aquaman the King of Atlantis, but you don't really see much of a side as plain Arthur Curry, unless it's maybe a private moment with Mera. But anyways, as Arthur's at the reunion, apparently the guy that we saw in the last couple of issues since Jeff Parker took over, the guy who's been hanging around Amnesty Bay asking questions about Aquaman, apparently while Aquaman was at his reunion, he broke into the lighthouse and stole Aquaman's Triton so that he could use it to go back to this archaeological dig he's leading and open some sort of ancient tomb, which, as we all know, let's face it, ancient tomb requiring an artifact to open, always a bad sign. Something bad's going to be behind there. And that's pretty much where the issue ends. Okay, but like I was saying earlier, this issue does mainly focus on the whole Aquaman, on Arthur Curry's high school reunion, and it's fun. And it's not really action-packed or superhero series, but it's just kind of a fun, casual kind of issue, which I really enjoyed. There is some humor in it, like how Arthur's old classmates are like wondering before he gets there, like, well, he even showed up. Oh man, what's he gonna be like? Like they're all thinking that he's gonna be some high and mighty king, but really he shows up wearing just a suit, and his wife's with him, so that's pretty nice. And I said that you don't really get to see a side of Aquaman that's really just plain Arthur Curry. Like, I mean, most of the time he's either Aquaman, Arthur, the King of Atlantis, or he's Aquaman, protector of the surface world and Atlantis. But you don't really get to see. The only time you really get to see him just act as almost a regular person is probably when he's alone with his wife Mera. But in this issue, you actually get to see that in more of a public setting, which I think is nice. It's something that you really don't get to see with Aquaman, because he doesn't have a secret identity. But so it's nice to kind of get this break where we can kind of see Aquaman in kind of a social setting that's not has to do with him being a superhero, but just rather him as Arthur Curry. And you do get some flashbacks as to when Arthur was a kid and his powers starting to develop. Like there was this apparently when he was 13 there was a beached whale, and when he touched the whale, that's when his whole telepathic connection to fish, to sea life started to develop. So yeah, overall I would say Aquaman number 28 is if you're looking for a light, casual, fun type of issue, then I would definitely say Aquaman 28 is a buy for you. Alright, next up, The Flash number 28. This is probably the first story arc in the new Flash story arc in the New 52 that I've been really excited for. Pretty much now with this issue, last issue Barry Allen went to go try to find a connection between a serial killer known as the Broomhill Butcher to his mother's murder, and when he dug up the grave for an accomplice for a DNA sample, he discovers that suddenly this old miner ghost attacks him, and when the issue opens up, the ghost is trying to possess Flash, but also Deadman shows up and helps Flash fight off the spirit. Then they both work together to kind of uncover who the spirit actually is, and it turns out he's actually this miner that was sort of betrayed by the founder of Central and Keystone City, and since then the spirit's been seeking revenge on the founder's family for years and years and years. And apparently the way the spirit works is that the spirit can possess anyone, but only for a short time. The only time the spirit can possess anyone long term is if they're as if they're in the spirit's bloodline. And so that's basically who the Broomhill Butcher was. He was a descendant that was possessed by the actual spirit, aka the Keystone Killer, which Barry said was just a myth, but apparently it's true. And also, in order to confirm everything, Deadman had to go into the body of the Broomhill Butcher to kind of see everything and understand and see some of the spirit's original memories. And later, when Barry asked Deadman, "Did you actually get to see if my mother was one of the victims?" And Deadman says, "No, I'm sorry, Barry." So obviously that link's dead, but Barry still carries on. He's still trying to figure this out with Deadman, and ultimately he does figure out. And when he goes to check some genealogy records, they're mysteriously vanished. But later he discovers that it's not just genealogy; it's probably DNA that could be a connection. And when he and Deadman go to the Central State Crime Lab, they discover that the spirit has apparently possessed Director Singh, and he's killed almost everyone in the lab. So yeah, Flash number 28, definitely great. It's got the great elements of a supernatural story, and also I think a good detective story. Like I said, this is a really great story arc. I'm really excited that I'm reading it. This is the first time in a while that I've really been excited to read a Flash story, and they did kind of go back to Barry Allen's. The murder of Barry Allen's mother. That's pretty much been a central focus of the character since his return from during Final Crisis and everything. But yeah, overall, Flash number 28 is a great mixture of both supernatural elements with the ghosts and Deadman, and also detective work with everything going on. And I think this issue really does highlight Barry's detective skills and shows why he's the second best detective in the DC universe. Okay, enough with DC, time to talk Marvel with Guardians of the Galaxy number 2, part 4 in the Trial of Jean Grey series. Cyclops discovers that his dad's alive, and he's happy with his dad, but then he asks about his mom, and apparently she didn't survive, and this is a lot to take in for him, so he kind of goes off to kind of take everything in, and when he does, X-23 shows up and she talks to him, and she gives him a hug, which is odd. And after that, the Starjammers and the Guardians and the X-Men all head to the Shi'ar homeworld, where Jean Grey's trial has officially begun. And apparently at the trial, Jean's pretty much forced to watch a message from one of the ship black boxes that was destroyed by Dark Phoenix, and so basically Jean's kind of seeing her future self destroying this entire star system, and pretty much the issue ends with Gladiator asking, "How does the accused pleased?" And we don't hear what Jean's answer is. So yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy number 12. I'd say very emotional for Cyclops and Jean in a way, because Jean seeing that herself destroy this entire star system, and Cyclops again reuniting with his dead dad. Well, thought to be dead dad. But yeah, and again, all this will lead. Again, this whole Cyclops part of the story arc will lead into that Cyclops ongoing for Teen Cyclops, where he's gonna travel the universe with his dad and stuff. But yeah, also, even though this is a crossover with the Guardians of the Galaxy, they don't really get much. This is really more of an X-Men story arc than the Guardians. I mean, pretty much the only reason the story arc is crossing over with the Guardians is just so that they can be sort of the connecting bridge to the Cosmic Marvel side of this. Because otherwise, I think that, I feel like I know this is called Trial of Jean Grey. It should be focused on the X-Men, but at the same time, since it is crossing over with the Guardians of the Galaxy, I think we could get a little more time with them, I guess. I mean, there is a hint about the Guardians in this book where Peter Quill's father is notified of Peter's actions going to Earth and getting the X-Men and stuff, and also what the Shi'ar are doing with the Trial of Jean Grey and everything, but that's about it, Guardian-wise. So I would say if you're an X-Men fan, you should definitely pick this up. If you're going to get this story arc just solely for the Guardians of the Galaxy, then I'd say you may want to hold off till the end and see and decide whether or not to get the trade. Okay, next up, Uncanny Avengers number 17. This issue is action-packed. We got Thor versus the men to get back his axe Jarbjorn. I hope I'm saying that right. It's Norwegian, so. And also, Wasp and Captain America are trying to break the whole device that's preventing Kang from showing up and fixing everything and defeating the Apocalypse Twins, all while the Sentinel Executioner is getting ready to attack the planet. We have the Heroes of Earth trying to prevent the Sentinel from... Celestial Executioner. Why did I say Sentinel? Anyways, they're trying to prevent... pretty much all the remaining Heroes of Earth are trying to prevent the destruction of Earth, but unfortunately, it doesn't go well at all. Grim Reaper is able to stop Captain Wasp, and he's able to kill Captain America. Then we have, of course, the Heroes of Earth fail, and ultimately the Celestial Executioner destroys Earth. Thor is able to get it. Thor, is able to stop him then, but unfortunately he's too late to stop the Celestial Executioner, and thus he has only one. As Earth's being destroyed, he only has one option, which is opening a portal and going back to Asgard. And after Earth is destroyed, Thor arrives back in Asgard and he talks to Odin about everything. And Odin says that one of the reasons that the Celestial Executioner came was that how the humans really couldn't get along with the mutants and stuff, and saying that basically this was the outcome, that since they couldn't get along with their evolved brethren, that this ultimately the Celestials deemed them an unworthy species, and thus that's why Earth was destroyed. And so that's pretty much the end of Ragnarok now. Next issue, though, we are going to get into the story arc known as Planet X, which will feature the mutants that were teleported away by the Apocalypse Twins device, and also apparently Wasp will be in the issue. So obviously the Wasp survived, right? I mean, she was on the spaceship, the Apocalypse Twins spaceships the entire time. And again, one of the reasons why the Apocalypse Twins brought Earth to the Celestials' attention was so that Kang wouldn't be able to conquer it. So, and you know Kang, he's going to figure out a way in, but. No, I mean, still, it was a very powerful issue, what with having the Avengers actually fail and having Earth destroyed. I mean, even though there's gonna be some time travel, anti-paradox or something to fix all this, it's still a lot to take. I still feel like this is a lot to take in. Last issue, pretty much how Uncanny Avengers has been. I just feel like it's been kind of... The problem I have with Rick Remender is just that a lot of reading it monthly, it feels like, things were very slow paced. Then we got towards the end, everything was like boom, boom, boom. So honestly, I think Uncanny Avengers is a great series, but if you haven't been reading it, but I would say wait for the trade rather than get the single issues, just because I think reading the trades will be a lot easier for you. Okay, next up from Marvel, Fantastic Four number 1. Pretty much the entire story is based around this framing device where we have Sue Storm Richards writing a letter to her children, Franklin and Valerie, explaining what led to the fall of the Fantastic Four. And apparently, sometime in the future, Reed becomes like super obsessed and stays in his lab. Ben gets arrested for murder, and Johnny apparently is seen at a bar and stuff. And Sue says he's a lost man now, and so something happened that led to the fall of the Fantastic Four. So then we go back in the past where we see the Fantastic Four fighting Fin Fang Foom, and they win. And Reed talking to Nick Fury Jr. saying that something was different with Foom this time, that he had no personality, was just a mindless beast. And later that night, Sue's talking to Reed about how Valerie is no longer with them, and she's now living in Latveria, and then they start, and then eventually the kids from the Future Foundation come in, and they kind of discipline them for a little bit. Then we cut to Ben Grimm talking to Alicia Masters, saying saying that how they with Ben, Ben wants to do something a bit more serious with their relationship. So, and then we have Johnny Storm apparently seeing his agent about his music career. Did anyone know that Johnny Storm could sing or play an instrument? I didn't. I don't even know when that was canon. But anyways, later that night, when everyone's asleep, something from one of the portals in Reed's lab that's designated Gateway F suddenly activates, and suddenly these like really strange creatures come in through the gateway, and they pretty much come in by like by a huge swarm, and they pretty much bust out of the Baxter building and head off to cause chaos. So, and that's where the issue ends. Fantastic Four #1, very great opening. I liked it. I think that this is definitely going to be different. It's written by James Robinson, so I think people who like Earth 2 are definitely going to enjoy this. Also, apparently something's going to happen in the Fantastic Four that will eventually lead to their downfall. So we don't know what that is, but it might involve whatever the heck is going on with Gateway F, because again it's something in Reed Richards' lab that's labeled "Do Not Access." So obviously something very bad is going to happen. I don't know if it's Negative Zone related. I doubt it, because the creatures didn't look like they came from the Negative Zone. So I wouldn't say that's an immediate possibility, but who knows? Yeah, so far it looked like a great opening. We already have like an establishment about what's going on with the Fantastic Four. We got Ben trying to do something a little more serious with Alicia Masters. Johnny's talking about starting a new career, and Reed and Sue are just kind of like, are still trying to like work on their family, and they're also worried about their daughter. So that's very nice. Very great. I think this was a great opening. I mean, it set everything up. What's going to happen, we don't know. But I'm definitely going to try this series out for the first story arc, see whether or not I like it. So overall, Fantastic Four, definitely a buy. Okay, next up, last comic is Superior Spider-Man #28. Spider-Man is able to the Superior Spider-Man is able to successfully escape the destruction of Spider Island, even though a lot of his spider henchmen die. He's able to get out, and he and the Living Brain are able to get to Parker Industries, and once there, they run into Sajani. I hope I'm saying that right. Sajani, and then who wants to know where Peter's been, because apparently he's been missing for an entire month, and then suddenly they get attacked by Wraith, who's asking Peter about what does he know about Carly Cooper. Then Monster, the goblin form of Carly Cooper, shows up, and she knocks out Wraith. Then she starts chasing Sanjini and Peter into the Parker Industries building. Then Peter gets her focus away from Sanjini, and leads Monster into his lab, where apparently it's revealed that Carly still isn't really fully goblinized. She still has some control over her goblin form, and she like takes out her earpiece and crushes it so that Osborn doesn't hear them, and talks to Peter and talks to Otto and lets him know that the city needs him, and that the goblin has something big planned, and that he also needs to kind of help her change back because she kind of did this so that they wouldn't be suspicious of her. And while this is going on for Otto Octavius, meanwhile Mary Jane Watson, the Goblin, has sent almost all of his other henchmen to go after Peter Parker's loved ones. And fortunately, though, Mary Jane thought ahead of this, and after she deals with some of the Goblin's underlings with some web shooters that Peter gave her a long time ago, she goes and gets to Aunt May and her husband Jay just in time before the Goblin's henchmen get to them. Unfortunately, apparently she's on the phone with someone talking to them, saying that we planned for this, get everyone together, then meet me at the airport. And apparently, and while Mary Jane's getting Jay and May, Menace, who is able to go back to her human form, goes to Empire State, goes to ESU, and is able to pick up Otto's girlfriend Anna Marie. So So it looks like the Goblins got Superior Spidey's girlfriend, and also in the mindscape, Peter Parker, or his consciousness rather, has been hiding in the memories of Otto Octavius. Unfortunately, though, those memories start to overwhelm Peter to the point where he starts to refer to himself as Dr. Octopus. And that's it for Superior Spider-Man. Again, another great issue. I really liked it. Things are definitely, we got twists and turns, like Carly still being in control of her goblin form. Also, apparently Peter's allies and stuff have thought ahead of something like this again. Something like this would happen, so they're all getting together, trying to make sure everyone's safe. Also, I forgot to mention that Mary Jameson is also working with Alchemax to begin building a new fleet of Spider Slayers, which are apparently revealed in this issue. And so after that, and so pretty much a lot of stuff has been going on. Carly again knows that Spider-Man is really Dr. Octopus, because she does call him Otto in this issue when she's alone with him. But yeah, overall, really great story arc. We only have 3 issues left of Superior Spider-Man until Peter Parker is back. Can't wait for Peter's return, but I'm still enjoying Goblin Nation. This is still Superior Spider-Man is definitely one of the best series. I enjoy it. There's a lot of action, a lot of suspense, twists and turns. Highly recommend. This is pretty much the one book that I always say buy it. Okay, and that's it for my comic reviews. A little bit of news around the internet. First of all, this week DC finally showed us the first trailer to the Arkham Origins DLC, Cold Heart, which will feature Mr. Freeze, and just like how the main origin story took place on Christmas Eve night, this story will apparently take place on New Year's Eve, and it will be. And I don't really think it's going to be like another set of challenge maps. It actually looks like it's going to be they've referred to it as a story add-on, which means I think it will be like an epilogue, sort of how Harley Quinn, and play out kind of like Harley Quinn's revenge from Arkham City, except I doubt you'll be able to play as Robin. Also, two bits of news today. First of all, the first image of Grant Gustin as in his Flash costume was shown. Unfortunately, though, we only got to see the mask, which apparently is made out of leather, and the little wingtips are replaced by lightning bolts. So yeah, but so far it looks good. So far, neck up, I like it. Like the choice of head attachment, replacing the wingtips with lightning bolts, I understand. It kind of makes sense. It still looks pretty great. I can't wait to see what the rest of the costume looks like, and also can't wait for the pilot of The Flash. And one more thing, Marvel announced that Rocket Raccoon is going to be getting his own ongoing series written and drawn by Scotty Young. So one of the most unique Guardians of the Galaxy is getting his own ongoing series. I think that's good. It's definitely something that's going to help, I think, with Guardians, with everything coming out in a few months. I think there's going to be a lot of Guardians of the Galaxy hype soon. And I think having another Guardians-related title featuring Rocket Raccoon, who I think is probably one of the most popular Guardians among fans, that's definitely a smart decision by Marvel. I don't think I'm going to get it, but everyone else, I think it's a good idea. Looks very interesting. And that's it for my comic review this week. Thank you again for watching this video. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. I'm Spider-Man 1991 saying, see you later.